Billionaire. Lost $1 million contract. Until Janitor's daughter showed him this secret, the night city looked like a mirror full of broken stars. Up on the 40th floor, inside a corner office with glass walls and a view that made people hold their breath, a man sat very still. His name was Elias Mercer. He was 53 years old, tall, sharp, and rich in a way that made newspapers chase him and cameras love him. But right now, the cameras were gone, and the newspapers would not help. He had just heard the sentence that cut like a knife. "Mr. Mercer," said his lawyer, Thomas Avery, in a careful voice, "Kuroda Holdings has canceled the contract." The words hung in the air like a storm cloud that would not move. $1 billion in orders, years of doors opening across Asia, all falling shut in one click. Elias tried to speak, but his mouth was dry. He stared out at the city as if his eyes could pull the deal back from the night. Behind him, the office cleaning cart squeaked softly. A woman pushed it, quiet and steady. Her name was Ruth Adeyemi. People did not look at her when they passed. They saw the broom and the blue gloves and kept walking. But she saw everything. Beside her, a small girl with big, curious eyes sat on the carpet against the wall, knees up, book open on her lap. Her name was Zara. She was 12. She came after school to wait for her mother to finish work. She never spoke in the rich man's office. She just read, listened, and learned. Thomas kept talking, but his words drifted like rain against glass. He said phrases like ethical misalignment and cultural concerns. Elias heard them, but they did not fit. He wanted to shout, "I did everything right." The slides were perfect. The models were clean. The numbers sang. He wanted to slam a fist on his desk and bend the world back into shape. But the desk was hard and cold, and his hand trembled, and he remembered how many hands he had never bothered to shake. He watched Ruth empty the bin without a sound. He watched Zara turn a page without looking up. He had never asked what she read every week, sitting there like a small ocean that kept its secrets. "We will fight this," Elias said at last, voice low and tight. "Call Tokyo again. Schedule New York. I will not lose everything to a vague memo." Thomas cleared his throat. "Sir, there were incidents." Elias turned. "What incidents?" Thomas looked at the floor. "Sometimes the smallest things are the biggest." They said they noticed how people were treated. Drivers, waiters, staff. Elias laughed once, a short, bitter sound. "They care how I say thank you to a waiter? We were discussing robotics and energy savings, not napkins and tea." Thomas did not laugh. "Sir, they care about both. They believe how you treat the least powerful shows who you are when no one important is watching." The words felt like sand in Elias's mouth. He waved Thomas away. "Go, draft whatever you need. I will fix this." Thomas left. The door clicked. The office grew quiet again. A city hung beyond the glass like a map to everywhere he could no longer go. Ruth finished wiping the table and reached for the trash. The small plastic bag rustled like leaves. She spoke softly. "Sir, should I take the old handouts too?" Her voice always carried a kindness that made even a hard room feel softer. Elias nodded, then paused. He had never paid attention to what was in the girl's hands before. "What are you reading?" he asked, pointing with his chin. Zara looked up, surprised to be seen. "A book about peoples," she said in simple words. "About how different homes and countries show respect. About small things that are not small." Elias tried to smile, but his face felt stiff. Something about the way she said small things, not small, made a thread pull inside him. "And what do your books say, Zara?" The girl blinked, then closed the book with care, finger inside to keep her place. "They say people watch what you do when you think they are not watching." Her mother gave her a small look that said, "Don't bother the boss." But Zara's eyes were steady, not rude, just honest. "They say in Japan people like when you bow, but a bow is not only a neck, it is the heart. You show the heart understands." Elias had bowed many times on stages. He could bend a neck, but he could not remember the last time his heart bent at all. He cleared his throat. "Thank you, Zara." He went back to his chair and stared at the water beads sliding down the window. He was a man who could move machines and markets. He was not sure if he knew how to move a single person. The next day was worse. 3 more cancellations. Norden Tech, Green Raven. A family firm in Shenzhen that had hugged him last year now kept their door shut. His assistant, Lena Park, stood in the doorway with tired eyes. "Sir, we will need to cut costs soon." The word cut felt like a cold knife. "No," Elias said. "Not yet." But his voice did not sound like a king's voice anymore. In the afternoon, he walked the halls to feel the building that had made him rich. The shine of the elevator buttons. The hum of servers. The faces he had passed 1,000 times. The guard at the front, Sal, gave him a small nod. Elias realized he had never asked Sal about his sick son, though he had heard the story in the elevator once and then pushed it away. On the 13th floor, a young engineer saw him and froze. Elias could not remember his name. He used to think names were extra weight. Numbers mattered. Names slowed you down. He felt the weight of that thought now, heavy and wrong. Back in his office, he found Ruth and Zara again. The girl was sketching on the back of an old slide in bright crayon. She had drawn boxes, arrows, and small circles with smiley faces. It looked like a child's treasure map, but the boxes made a path like the way people flow through a room. "What is that?" he asked. She held it up, shy but proud. "A map of feet," she said. "A map of who goes where. I watch when Mama cleans. I see where shoes leave marks." She pointed to a thick patch of crayon near the door. "Here is where people wait and feel small. Here is where they stand, but no one sees them. Here, the path bends the wrong way." Elias stepped closer. "Why wrong?" Zara shrugged. "Because the faces change there. They are happy here and here. But here," she tapped the crayon knot, "their shoulders drop. They look at the floor. I think maybe the room tells them they are less." The words were simple, but they slid into him like light finding a crack. He looked at his glass office, the long desk like a wall, the chairs lined up like soldiers, the trash can tucked behind the guest seat like a secret. In every choice, he had built a room to make himself look big. He had not noticed that big can make others feel small. That evening, Elias went home to a silent penthouse with high art on the walls and no pictures of people. The city lights blinked. He poured water and watched the glass fog. He opened his phone and scrolled through contacts with last names and titles. Then he typed a new name. Marcus Lynn. Marcus was the junior engineer he had snapped at last month when a graph was wrong by a hair. The man had gone pale. The whole room had gone still. Elias had not thought about it again until now. He wrote, "Marcus, I was wrong. I spoke to you in front of others in a way that hurt you. I forgot your name when I should have used it with care. No excuse, I'm sorry. If you will meet me, I would like to say this to your face and listen." His finger hovered. He was a man who sent messages that broke deals and built cities. He had never sent one like this. He pressed send. He wrote to Sal, to Lena, to the woman at the coffee cart who always smiled. He wrote to the hotel server in Tokyo who had spilled tea and felt the blast of Elias's anger like a flame. He did not ask for anything. He only said he was sorry. He slept badly, but he slept honest for the first time in years. The morning brought something new. Answers. Some were short. Some were cold. But a few carried grace. Marcus wrote, "I will meet at the small cafe across the street at noon. No corner table. Same line as everyone else." Elias smiled, then felt his stomach twist with fear. At noon he stood in line, holding his place, waiting. When it was his turn, he put both hands on the counter and said, "Good afternoon, Anya," to the barista, because her name tag said Anya and he had decided names are not extra weight. He waited for Marcus at a small table by the window. Marcus came, shoulders tight. They sat. Elias said sorry. He did not talk about stress or numbers. He talked about the face Marcus had made when the room laughed. He said how the laugh still echoed. Marcus listened like a man who keeps a scar under his shirt. He nodded once. "Thank you," he said. "Words do not fix things, but they can plant something." When Elias got back to the office, Ruth was polishing the glass. Zara was reading, but not really reading. She watched him with the kind of attention that sees if your steps match your speech. Elias bent a little so his eyes were close to hers. "I am trying," he said. "I am slow, but I am trying." Zara gave him a small, bright nod. "Trying is a road," she said. "Keep walking." Days turned to weeks. News still hurt him like cold rain, but it began to change shape. He started a small habit. Every morning at 9, he walked the lobby, said hello by name, and asked one true question. "How is your brother's school? How was your recital? Did you fix your mother's roof?" At first, people were confused, then careful, then warm. He moved the trash can. He lowered his desk. He brought 2 chairs closer and turned them toward each other. He printed a sign and taped it inside the glass where only he could see. "Make bridges, not walls." He asked Ruth to help him rearrange the room. "Where should I put this?" he asked, holding a plant with wide leaves. Ruth tilted her head. "The corner by the door," she said. "Green near the entry makes people breathe easier." He trusted her. He began to trust others, too. He visited the factory where long lines of robots blinked and whirred. He watched the workers move like a dance that had learned to hide its pain. He stood in a corner with a notebook, just as Zara often did. He drew a map of feet. He saw the knot. He called the manager and moved 2 tables. A week later, accidents dropped by half. He sent a picture of the new layout to Zara. A simple crayon sketch turned into a living thing. She wrote back, "Good. The room is kinder now." One afternoon, he found her drawing on his old slides again. "What are you working on?" he asked. She turned the page around. "Your talk for the big meeting," she said. "You use a red number in this line. In some places, red means warning. Maybe use blue. And this photo of shoes on a table in your fun culture slide is rude in Japan. Maybe show tea being poured by both hands, no hurrying." Elias stared at the drawing. The girl had seen what he missed again and again. Small things, not small. "Will you help me practice?" Zara smiled. "Bow with your heart, Mr. Elias. Not only your neck." He stood, put one hand to his chest, and bowed. She bowed back. Ruth covered her mouth and laughed softly, the sound of a mother who cannot quite believe the world she is seeing. The call he had waited for finally came. Kuroda Holdings would meet him again, informally, to talk and see. "We want to bring a few guests," the assistant said over the phone. "A friend from Nordontech. A family firm, you know." Elias felt his throat tighten. He guessed what that meant. He had not fooled anyone. People talk. People watch. People test. He did not mind the test anymore. He used to hate being judged. Now he wanted a chance to show who he was becoming. He asked for one more thing. "May I bring 2 guests as well?" The assistant paused. "Of course." The meeting was set for Saturday at noon at a small place called Meitsu House, a simple restaurant with clean wood and soft light. Elias wore a plain suit and left his watch at home. He stood outside in the sun with Ruth and Zara. "You don't have to come in," he told Ruth. "You've already done too much." Ruth shook her head. "I will sit in the back. I want to see my child shine." The door slid open with a soft sound. Mr. Kuroda stood inside with 2 partners. Behind them stood Sato, the hotel server from Tokyo, the one with tea on his sleeve and hurt in his eyes from months ago. Elias felt shame move through him like a hot wave. He stepped in, put both hands by his sides, and bowed low. Not performative, not quick. He thought of the scar he put in another man's day, and bent all the way until his back ached. "I was unkind," he said out loud. "I am sorry." Sato waited a breath, then bowed too. "I accept." They sat on cushions at a long wooden table. Zara bowed as well, hands in her lap. She spoke a few words in Japanese, careful and slow. Mr. Kuroda's eyes softened with surprise. The talk began gentle and grew deep. They asked why the contract should live again. Elias did not give a brand new slide or a shiny speech. He spoke about people, then numbers. He spoke about how he had moved tables to make a line safer. He showed photos of the map of feet turned into real change. He spoke about names and how each name was now a bridge. He did not cry, but his voice had a small shake people could hear. They nodded. Then Mr. Kuroda lifted a hand. "Words can be wind," he said. "We also watch hands." He nodded to a server behind Elias. The server reached, bumped a tray, and a cup tilted, the same kind of spill that had set old Elias on fire. The cup fell. Tea spread across the table. For a second the room froze. It was a test, clear as day. Old Elias would have barked. Old Elias would have waved for a cleaner, as if a spill were dirt and dirt was people. New Elias stood, grabbed a cloth, and said, "Are you burned?" To the server first. The server shook his head. Elias crouched, not caring that his suit would soak, and wiped the tea like one neighbor helping another after a small rain. Ruth watched from the back, hand pressed to her chest. Zara watched with eyes that trapped the moment like a picture she would keep forever. The room breathed again. Something had passed, quiet but big, like a thin bridge finding the other side in fog. Just then, the door slid open and two more guests entered. A woman with gray hair and a man with careful eyes. Elias knew them but could not place them at first. Then he did. It was Mei Chen from Chen & Sons, the small family firm whose deal had died without a meeting, and next to her was Victor Hale, the head of Nordentech. They had not come to eat. They had come to see. "We have news," May said, folding her hands. "Your rival tried to jump your last shipment by paying extra to rush the port. They sent a rumor as well, that your robots were failing, that your plant was dirty, that your boss was cruel." Elias's jaw tightened. Old Elias would have exploded. New Elias listened. "Thank you for telling me," he said. "I cannot stop people from throwing stones. I can keep building the house." Before anyone could answer, Elias's phone buzzed in his pocket. He had put it on silent, but he felt the vibration like a knock on a door that would not wait. He glanced at the screen. It was the factory. He excused himself with a small bow and stepped outside. The operations lead spoke fast. "Sir, line B is down. The new arm jam's at step 6. We will miss the shipment by 20 hours if we stop. If we push, we may break the arm." Elias closed his eyes. The old world and the new world pressed on him at once. He looked through the glass door. In the dim light, he could see Zara's notebook. He spoke into the phone. "Keep the line safe. Do not force the arm. Give me a video." A minute later, a shaky video came through. He watched, then he turned and waved to Zara. "Can you come here for a second?" She ran to the door. He crouched so his voice would be for her alone. "This is our line. See the jam? What do you see?" She watched, head tilted the way it tilted when she solved a puzzle. "The arm is fine," she said. "It is the people. They stand close on step 4. When they finish, they turn this way. Then they bump the tray at step 6. Small bump. Big jam. Move step 4 2 steps left. Make a rest square with tape between 4 and 6. Teach the feet a new path. The hands will follow." Elias stared at her. It was the same secret she had drawn with crayons. Feet show the truth first. He spoke into the phone. "Move step 4 2 paces left. Tape a rest square. Try again. Slow first." The lead did it. The video showed the line hum again, smooth and sweet. No jam, no break. No 20-hour delay. Elias felt a laugh rise, soft, shocked, grateful. He stepped back to the table and told the truth. "My plant had a problem," he said. A 12-year-old solved it in 30 seconds because she watches how people walk. She sees small things that are not small. The room did not laugh. It leaned in. Zara lifted her notebook and showed the crayon map. She spoke gently. Sometimes a line breaks because a person feels rushed. If you give them one small square to breathe, the whole machine breathes. Mr. Kuroda's eyes shone. "In Japanese we have a word for this," he said. "Omotenashi. Care so deep it creates order without shouting." Mei-chen tilted her head. "And Kaizen," said Victor. "Small steps that make big change." Elias nodded. "I am learning both, slowly, but I am learning." The partners looked at one another. There was no long speech. There was a simple, shared look between people who understand when a road has turned. "We will restore the contract," Mr. Kuroda said. "On one condition." Elias waited, steady now. "The condition is that this child," he pointed at Zara, "keeps teaching you to see. She will be our small teacher with a big heart. You will listen to her. You will listen to many such people. You will build a company that hears the quiet ones." Elias glanced at Ruth. Her hands shook. Her eyes were full. He turned to Zara and put out his hand the way he would to any partner. "Will you work with me?" he asked. "Not as a trophy. As a teacher." Zara looked at her mother. Ruth nodded and whispered, "Shine." Zara shook Elias's hand, small fingers strong. "I will help," she said. "But remember, I am not magic. The secret is simple. We look, we care, we change." The months that followed did not sparkle like a movie. They were made of work that feels small and is not small. Elias formed a bridge team with people from every part of the building. A guard, a driver, a line worker, a coder, the woman from the coffee cart, and yes, Ruth and Zara. They met every Tuesday. They walked through rooms and asked different questions. Where do shoulders drop? Where do feet hesitate? Where does a voice go quiet? They moved tables and taped rest squares. They added family pictures to halls that looked like airports. They paid overtime when a storm kept people late. They fixed the broken vending machine and laughed because it had been broken for so long that broken felt normal. They changed the onboarding slide that had a picture of a messy party and replaced it with a photo of a small circle, 5 people, heads close, sharing tea. Not glossy, real, they raised pay for night cleaners. They added names to lanyards in big letters. They set a rule: no one eats alone unless they choose it. They invited workers' kids to Little Inventor Days. Zara led the first one. She put a big blank paper on the floor and said, "Draw your feet." The kids laughed and asked why. She said, "Because feet tell the truth first." Engineers sat cross-legged and colored with them. Pride melted into play. A whisper moved through the building. "This place feels different." It felt safe to try and safe to fail and safe to speak. The factory's numbers changed in slow, honest ways. Fewer mistakes, more ideas. A rare thing happened at a huge place. People looked forward to Monday. It did not fix all the world, but it grew a garden where there had been a fence. Elias also did the hard visits. He flew to meet people he had hurt. He bowed, not only with his neck. He sat on plastic chairs in quiet rooms and said sorry to faces that were not on magazine covers. A driver whose hand he once shook like it did not matter. A caterer he scolded in a hallway. A receptionist he ignored every morning for years. He did not post any of it. He did not tell a reporter. He did it because his bed felt better when he did. He wrote letters to schools in the city, funding small libraries with books about people and places and kindness. He asked kids to draw maps of their feet at home, then asked what the maps told them. He told his investors what he was doing and said, "If this is too slow for you, sell and walk." Some did. Most stayed. The share price fell a little, then returned, then grew in a way that felt less like a rocket and more like a tree, strong from the inside. Kuroda sent a small wooden plaque with carved characters. Ruth placed it by the front door. It said, "Walk with care." People touched it when they passed like a friendly stone that kept their courage close. 1 year later, the company held an open day. Families came. Music played, not loud and bragging, but bright and warm. Ruth stood by the stage in a blue dress she had saved for, tears already shining even before anything began. Elias stepped to the microphone without the old armor on. He looked out at faces. He did not see staff. He saw Sal and Anya and Marcus and the quiet coder who fixed the server at 3 in the morning and then ate noodles alone on a stair until Zara found him and said, "Come sit with us." He took a breath and said, "I once believed that big things were heavy and small things were dust. I was wrong. Small things are the floor you walk on. Treat them well, and everything stands. Treat them badly, and everything falls." He turned and held out his hand. "Our teacher will close the day," he said. Zara walked up, toes pointed straight, chin high, not scared. She spoke into the mic in a voice clear and kind. "When I watched this building long ago, I saw places where shoulders dropped," she said. "I drew the map. We change the paths. The secret is not magic. It is 3 simple steps. 1. See. Slow down and see. 2. Care. Care in your chest first. 3. Change. Move 1 table. Tape 1 square. Say 1 name. These are small, but they make a bridge big enough for all of us. The room went quiet. Then a soft wave of claps grew into a strong river of hands. Ruth cried without hiding it. Elias did too. He did not know when crying became easy for him, but he did not want it to stop. After the speeches, Elias took a walk. Not a victory walk, just a walk to feel the air between the machines and people he loved. He stopped in the old corner where the knot had once been thick. The tape on the floor was faded now because so many feet had used the rest square that the square looked like light. He laughed and stepped inside it. He stood there for a full minute and did nothing, the hardest thing he had learned to do. Rest, he whispered. Even leaders need a square. He looked up and saw Zara across the room, helping a little boy fix his paper bridge. She pressed her fingers gently under the paper to show how support lives underneath, not on top. He thought, the world is safe in hands like that. He thought, maybe that is what wealth is, making a place where people can set down their fear and pick up their work with joy. At home that night, his penthouse did not feel like a glass box in the sky anymore. He had brought photos in, photos with names. He had framed a crayon map, the first map of feet drawn on the back of an old slide by a girl who saw what the rich man could not see. He made tea with both hands and placed the cup gently on a small tray. He bowed with his heart toward the empty room, because he had learned that respect is not only for guests, it is also for the person you are when nobody looks. His phone buzzed with a message from Mr. Kuroda. It was only 1 line. We are proud to walk with you. Another message from Mei Chen. Your people sent us a new layout. Our workers thank you. Another from Victor. The rest square saved a hand today. Elias set the phone down and closed his eyes. He did not think of prices or graphs. He thought of feet finding soft paths, of shoulders lifting, of names spoken kindly, of bridges wide enough for a whole city. Before he slept, Elias wrote 1 more letter. He wrote to a boy in a school he had never visited, in a neighborhood he would visit soon. He wrote, "You matter before you earn. You matter before you win. The secret to big things is small care. Draw a map of your feet. Change 1 path. You will see." He signed his name, not CEO, not billionaire, just Elias. He turned off the light and let the room be dark like a quiet sea. He did not feel afraid of the dark anymore. He had learned to see in it. He had learned to bow to it and find the door. And so, the story that began with a fall did not end with a trophy. It ended with a promise that keeps beginning every day. To see, to care, to change, and to keep going when it is slow and hard. The title that once sounded like a headline, Billionaire Lost $1 Million Contract Until Janitor's Daughter Showed Him the Secret, was not a punchline anymore. It was a map. It was a map of feet on a floor, of hands pouring tea with both palms open, of hearts bending first and then standing taller together. In simple words fit for anyone to carry. Small things are not small. They are the secret. They save empires, and more important, they save people. If you ever forget, draw your map. Tape your square. Say their name. Build your bridge. Then walk across it side by side.